When I was young, I really wanted to be a teacher. But when I decided to do illegal things, I think that's when the old me came back.
A4 寓所是新加坡唯一一间女子监狱。
Morning, you meet a lot of crazy people. Maybe I'm one of them also. You never know.
我骗了好多人，都是人家的退休钱。
吸白粉就很像是一个 daily routine 啊 for 我啦。
新加坡以严刑峻法闻名，犯罪率是全世界最低的国家之一。
Morning。
对于触犯法律的女性受刑人，应该严惩不贷，还是施以援手？
我懂，我只是不甘愿，就是这个咯。
Prison 不可能 cater specially for you 的，这里是 prison。
4 years ago, probably, I think just wake up with my son. He's still young, still want to drink milk when he wake up. You all think today eat what? And vegetable.
过去4年，1000多个日子，现年26岁的雨琦一早醒来，面对的就是这样一间约2米宽、5米长的房间。这里头住着4个人，狭小的厕所大家必须轮流使用，锁上的房门也只能等待外头的人打开。这样的生活是雨琦和其他700名女受刑人在新加坡 A4 寓所的日常。
我在大学，我学习了心理学，所以我每次就是很好奇，为什么有些人会学会做错的东西。刚才我拿的是手铐，然后这个是 pepper spray。如果讲好像囚犯对我们暴力，我们就可以用这个来保护自己。这个是我们的笔灯。
Staff sedih, staff favoris.
A4 寓所坐落于樟宜监狱中心，这栋8层楼高的建筑里头，包含700名女受刑人所有的生活和活动空间。这里没有时钟，让人仿佛置身于一个时光停滞的世界里。受刑人和外界最常有的接触，就是每天来这里上班的监狱官。这里的监狱官全部都是女性。
现在我们在做 master check， 确保我们的人数是对的。
不要过分死。
在 A4 寓所，超过1半的受刑人所犯的都是毒品相关罪行。虽然一般上这类受刑人的危险性不高，不过监狱官仍然必须时时保持警惕。
I won't discount the risk level for women offenders because they have a different level of risk. Like for example, self-harming behavior. There are also fights involved, but of course, it's not so violent.
Good morning, ma'am.
与其4年前刚入狱时，是监狱官们必须留意的闹事者之一。
When I just came in here, I think I didn't really care about consequences, quarrel, get into fights, confrontation. I guess this is prison survival skills.
与其因为试毒、贩卖毒品和电子烟，在2020年被判坐牢5年又11个月。
上去啊！
早餐过后，大多的受刑人得以离开牢房，到寓所不同角落报到。这里设有电话服务中心、裁缝工作室、美术工作室，让受刑人参与工作项目；也设有烘焙教室、电脑室，让他们报读技能培训课程。种种活动的宗旨都是在于帮助受刑人在出狱后能够过上正规的生活，改过自新。
I think, especially when it comes to drug, people will be afraid if they relapse. I feel that a lot of people are very judgmental about it. Maybe I judge myself also, so I don't know.
在 A4 寓所，多数的受刑人都能够自行在寓所内走动。这里处处都有监控器，每到达一扇门，受刑人都得等待监控室里的监狱官认证和准许之后，铁门才会打开。
Miss me go？
参与工作项目的受刑人能赚取1小时3毛到7毛多不等的津贴。现年46岁的秀兰，在入狱前没做过针线活，却在入狱的短短1年内成为裁缝工作室的主管。
Okay, how many today? 40. 哇 ！Tailoring 就是比较年长，所以这些年长的就是你是谁，我会嘞，所以就要慢慢买他们的心哦。
秀兰是监狱中少见的白领罪犯，她原本在一家金融机构担任要职，过着令人羡慕的生活。她却在2018年因欺诈罪被判坐牢10年又6个月。
认识我的人，就算是身边的人都很惊讶。讲到我的前任老公，我们2个都在各自的事业很有成就，一直到新加坡开了 casino， 他开始赌，就这样沉迷了下去。
10多年前，秀兰的前夫在欠债的同时，还不断寻求资金当赌本。为了帮他，秀兰动起了歪念，她向一些亲戚介绍一项虚假的投资计划，从而骗取他们的钱财。
亲戚们都很相信我，我开始拿了又拿，最讨厌赌的我，变成跟他一起进赌场。我的心只是想说，他赢了，我想拿这笔钱补回这个洞；他输了，可能我可以拉他走。
行骗超过10年，秀兰的骗局终于被揭发。她总共骗取了亲戚们好几百万元。
第一个晚上进来，我哭到那个 officer 放我一个人住 under suicide watch。可能当时的我真的不觉得自己有错。
Just sit down. You want to sit down? The fan also can. So OCA, we are left with ABB crochet.
中午12点，是 A4 寓所值早班和值午班的监狱官交接工作的时候。这里是监控室，监狱官在这里可以监控整个寓所每个角落，以维持狱中秩序。在新加坡，每10名释囚中，就有约4名在5年内因再度犯罪而入狱。如何改造受刑人是个大难题。新加坡监狱署就曾经进行了一次改革，监狱官除了得负责维持秩序以外，也必须协助受刑人改造。
它挺难的，有些囚犯对 law enforcement officers 会怕，也是会不太喜欢。
这里的长官都好啦，各有各的 style of handling 我们这些人了。
在 A4 寓所，受刑人需要按照规定剪头发，他们只能选择齐耳短发或者寸头发型。29岁的小轩，因为再多2个月就要出狱了，因此可以把头发留得长一些。
这下面呢，有些不平来，try to 一点点而已啦。
小轩因为试毒，在2022年被判坐牢3年。
你在外面的发型也是这样的？
之前是长的。
这已是小轩第5次入狱了。他每次出狱后，都是因为跟从前的毒友重新联络上，而再次吸毒，再次被逮捕。
这次我出去的时候就不会找这些朋友了，因为我还有人生啊，所以我不想再回去那种黑暗的时刻。
你上一次出去的时候，你记得也是不是这样想的？
也是这样想。
Okay, strawberry coulis are. Coulis is a French fancy word. In English is, can guess?
Kali.
Sauce? Sauce. Very good. 10 points. Basically, it's sauce, huh? So what?
小轩因为刑期已接近尾声，可以报读狱中开办的技能培训课程，如烘焙证书课程，以帮助他出狱后有更好的就业机会。小轩入狱前，曾经在营销业和客户服务业工作。他之前几次出狱后，找工作时并没有遇到太大的困难，只是总觉得生活空虚。
我觉得到现在我还觉得做什么东西都很像不够，好像不满足那样。所以我觉得这次我出去我要 take up courses 哦。我一直想要 be a volunteer in special needs center。
嗜毒者执迷不悟，不断重犯又入狱，或许让许多人费解。不过事实上，一旦陷入毒海，成为瘾君子，他们要戒掉的不仅仅是毒瘾而已。
wearing my
囚犯他们进进出出，他们在里面的时间比在外面的时间多，所以他们多数的朋友也是囚犯。我教他们迷路的人呢，所以如果他们找旧的朋友的话，那他们就一起吸毒，就会一起回来。
在 A4 寓所，受刑人每个周日都有1个小时的放风时间，可以选择看电视或者到院子做运动。
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Okay, good. Day room 2 better no?
Better, I like.
Okay lah.
Happy.
You happy can already. Okay, try ah. Like that. Wait, haven't yet.
在院子里，与其带领其他受刑人做运动，互相捉弄，一起玩闹，就像无忧无虑的少女，让人无法想象， 他曾经是一个贩卖毒品和电子烟的罪犯。
When I was young, I really wanted to be a teacher. I think it's inspiring to be able to teach other people good things lah.
不过，雨琦似乎注定要经历不一般的人生。他年幼时，父亲是监狱的常客，因此他被迫长期寄养在外人的家里。破碎的童年，让他从小就立下人生目标。
When I was very young, one of my dreams other than my career is to faster settle down, marry someone, buy a house, and have a family.
为了尽快达到目标，倔强的雨琦14岁就辍学，到处打工赚钱。他曾经因为抽烟、打架被送入感化院。他在19岁那年结婚、生子、买房子，也拥有一份正当的职业。但是，所谓的人生目标却渐渐模糊了，他迷失了。
As I grow older, I have changed, but I fell back. When I decided to do illegal things, I think that's when the old me came back.
雨琦婚后第3年，夫妻关系因丈夫失业而跌入谷底，家庭状况也陷入危机。
A failure of my marriage, led one thing after another.
再怎么努力，都似乎无法逃脱命运的轨迹。雨琦选择了自甘堕落。
I realized that there was a trend in vapes in the markets, and I have my way out at Malaysia. And then it sold so fast, and that's when it started to bring in so much more, like 50, 100, 300, 500.
Morning, man. First time in prison.
I felt sad that I walked into something that I always didn't want to walk to. You tell yourself you will stop once you earn this amount, impossible lah.
雨琦在2020年遭逮捕，这时他才惊觉自己已经步上了父亲的后尘。
I wasn't prepared to come in prison. I only know I was very worried about my son. I was very worried he forget me. I every day very scared he forget me.
下午4点半 ，A4 寓所又恢复了平静。一天的活动都已停止，受刑人必须回到各自的牢房，准备吃晚餐。
它有一个 fix menu， 有些天是吃鸡肉，有些天是吃鱼肉。The only difference here is 这边这个 spoon 是需要 last 我们 for as long as we can. So in order for us, 不要给别人害，也不要害别人 right? If I were to accidentally break my spoon, I must have the full body and parts to exchange it with the officer.
从下午4点半到隔天早上8点这段时间，牢房的门都是紧紧锁上的。在这漫长的15个小时里，秀兰唯一的慰藉就是读家人寄来的信件。
这个是我妈妈刚刚中风的时候，妈妈亲笔写的，不是很清楚，因为她的脑已经是在晃来又晃去了。妈妈大家都很好，先生也变好了，家里都很好，你不要担心。妈妈在去年往生了，连她最后一堂我都做不到给她。I think 这个会是我一辈子最大的遗憾哦。遗憾就是挽不回了，不管我再怎么变好，再怎么做到回以前那样，还是以后做的再好，妈妈回不来了。
因为无法在母亲临终前照料她、陪伴她， 这让秀兰对于自己的所作所为终于有了觉悟。
一人做事一人当，这句话是假的，苦的应该是我一个人，可是现在苦的是我家人。很多次，我们觉得我们是为家人而做，走了一大圈，是因为自己。Fear because you fear that your lifestyle will change. Greed is because you refuse to let go. 真的。
如今，最叫秀兰放心不下的是她的3个孩子。
我最大的心愿就是我的孩子不会走这条路。
根据新加坡社会及家庭发展部的一项研究，如果父母曾经坐牢，孩子触犯法律的可能性将比其他孩子大将近4倍。
Morning. Morning.
为了确保寓所存在良好的秩序和控制措施，狱警司和助理狱警司尽可能每一天到寓所各处巡逻。
Good morning. How? Okay. Very good.
Yeah, very.
Okay. I hope I don't see any report. They will always respect us in terms of addressing us by ma'am, but of course within their own clique, they will say, "Oh no, this princess, say something." But I take it with positive side lah. At least they notice me enough to give me nicknames.
佘慧诗曾经在男子监狱工作过，了解管理女受刑人的方式有着不可忽略的差异。
Generally, women offenders, they are more emotionally expressive and they tend to share more about their traumas and their experiences in terms of relationships. They are also caregivers to their families. A lot of times they came with a lot of stress and responsibilities. So it takes a different kind of skills to really engage them.
I think based on what my friends tell me that when I go out, my parents will call me like at 7 o'clock, where are you? Why you haven't come home? So somehow I don't like people to control me. Then in the long run, I will explore.
雨琦将在3个月后服满刑期，她出狱后将会和父母一起住。已经离开原生家庭多年的她，担心自己会和家人产生摩擦，引发她叛逆的因子而重蹈覆辙。
So will you talk about this with your parents?
No.
Then how they know?
Also do, I don't know. I mean, how to say what? Why you want to call me what time?
If you feel like awkward to talk, then you be more proactive to text them. Like, Ma, I'll come home at 8 p.m.
Like, inform them first, like, instead of they keep asking.
Inform so they won't nag at you.
服刑期间，雨琦大约每个月都会和负责监督她的监狱官进行一次1对1的谈话。
There are some ma'ams that I can feel that they are really trying to help me. That's when I start to mellow down also, because I realize it's not like I have to be there for myself only. I think I have to learn how to trust them, so maybe when I'm around them, sometimes I won't feel so awkward. So from here, I start to think that it's not control, it's they care.
Okay, I think that's very good. Yeah, like you reframe your thoughts lah. Sometimes it's hard for us to change our mindset. Like, okay, this person will change or not. But I think as we sit down with them, get to know them better, I think we will also change our perspective. I'm very proud of her. I think she's more mature.
A 这一天 ，A4 寓所突然传来了孩童的声音。 这是慈善组织救世军1年2次在这里举办的开放式探访活动。和一般探访不同，参与的受刑人得以和他们的孩子零距离互动。
I see your hand bigger than mine already. No, this hand. 哇，最小的当时还不到小一，因为他很黏我，他早上起来抱的第一个是我，晚上我拍拍他睡觉牵的手也是我。他看到 Daily Visit， 他要来抱我，抱不到。
Actually, it was a bigger piece, so each time when they search, it has to be thrown away. Then we draw another one for us to know what day is it.
How many days more do you count until your readings?
120 over days.
Okay, hello, good afternoon families. Wow, okay, my voice is really quite loud. Okay, so we are going to start our program right now.
这一天 ，A4 寓所格外的温情洋溢。一个人犯罪或者重犯，很多时候都跟家庭情况有关。近几年，新加坡监狱署和多个社区伙伴合作，推出援助项目，以增强受刑人和家人的关系。这么做可减低受刑人在出狱后再次误入歧途的概率，也减轻给孩子带来的伤害。
There's a lot of people outside of prison. It's a struggle to build their relationship, but for the people here, they really appreciate that bond every single moment, all the time.
对正在服刑的母亲来说，他们最大的挑战无疑就是要如何管教孩子。
But yours January, then the result come out, right? Mommy is very proud of you, no? Correct. So it will be, but January when?
Yeah, they will let people on the day itself.
A lot of mothers feel very helpless. Because I'm not there, I cannot do anything. I think for them the struggle is to balance between the kind of disciplinarian role and at the same time still letting the child feel love. When the child comes in, the first thing you do, you cannot be like, hey, why you go out late?
秀兰入狱那年，3个孩子都不到16岁。入狱后，她和丈夫办了离婚手续，对方再婚，3个孩子很多时候都得独立生活。
I will not let you retain. If really need to retain, I'm going to appeal. Okay, so then baby, will she be going to local school?
The results will only be out in December.
我进来的时候，大的女儿才15岁，叛逆期。一转眼，她得穿上我的鞋，照顾爸爸，照顾2个弟弟。这几年来没有她，我也撑不下去。
正当秀兰和其他受刑人在享受天伦之乐时，A4 寓所的另一个角落，有人正在进行艰巨的改造任务。新加坡监狱署目前有约170多位惩教改造辅导员，他们主要负责从思维和心理层面协助受刑人改过自新。
I also want to understand a little bit lah, because 15, 16, you try a lot of things at that point. So, what led you to, decide to try all these things?
I think under the influence of friends, peers,
Okay.
Curious.
Curious.
小轩因为嗜毒进出监狱5次。从心理学角度来看，这样的行为往往跟他们某些根深蒂固的想法有关。
核心信念，简单来说就是我们最内心的信念。
这通常会是在我们小时候开始培养建立的。例如，经常被批评，我们也许会慢慢的就会建立起一种我不够好或者没人爱我的信念。Did your family know about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Did they say anything?
Never really 了。我妈妈她是都是很久很久以前了，她有喝酒的问题了，她就会变成脾气很暴躁。这是我跟我弟弟都不喜欢看的那负面的。
小轩在14岁那年，因为和母亲关系破裂而离家出走，他也是在那不久后开始吸毒的。
What was in your mind at that time?
I just want to leave this place.
Yeah.
Because I think too much for me to handle and take it.
辅导的目的就是要让受刑人意识到自己的核心信念，才能让他们慢慢地将这些信念改掉，过上健康的生活。
有了那些信念和价值观的话，自己可能就会觉得说，一定要多做点什么来得到爱或认可。例如，即使知道是损友，但是相处的时候有一份亲切感，他们就会继续相处下去。
I always feel that I was never enough for my mother.
Okay. That's quite a difficult thought to have. Do you think it had any relation to you trying
what? Trying new drugs?
Yeah.
It could be one of the reasons why.
Everybody here also got try.
2个小时的探访结束后，活动室里顿时空荡荡的。社工正通过小组讨论，让受刑人分享各自的经历。
He had this problem at school, which touches deep in my heart. He's being teased. Like, hey, some stupid boy lah, because your mom is in prison. At this stage, I feel helpless. What I can tell him is that you just ignore. It's just words. Words of encouragement. It will be better.
It will.
It will get better. Thank you. Say yeah, already.
You never see us when we're unstable. We're inside here lah. Inside 4 walls, there's nothing we can do. We are always at the receiving end. But by the time we receive the news, they already settle it.
囚禁长久以来是社会主持公道的重要管道之一。秀兰在狱中经历的煎熬，或许对外人来说是罪有应得，但这一天，她有个重大的消息要跟大家分享。
Okay, I think today I want to encourage all of you. Finally, I'm in my last 40 days countdown. Yeah, and I believe if I can do this, you can. Your kids can. Trust me, they are stronger than you think they are. They can.
"在外面，你喜欢去哪里放松，或者最喜欢的一个地方就是
最喜欢的地方就是海边因为海边很近呀。有时候我喜欢有自己的空间就是那种平静的地方，就是我一个人就够了那种。
DRC, proceed to televisit room 2.
新加坡监狱署规定， 受刑人每个月能有2次机会接受亲友探访。这一天，小轩的母亲申请透过视讯和小轩会面，探访限时30分钟。
偷偷他有跟我讲的他是不会来看我的这些，他也是有跟我讲我还是他的女儿嘛，他不来看我，谁来看我？就是他每个月都会来，他没有一次过好像 miss 掉了。我也懂，我只是不甘愿，就是这个咯。
探访开始不久后，小轩显得有些激动，他要求摄制组不要公开这部分的谈话内容。不过没过多久，房间传来了笑声。
我现在去bakery class bakery。bake cake bake cookie。我不会英文，我哪里懂 ？bakery 我不会，做咖喱我会。我跟我妈妈的感情，就是这样咯，来一下子都很生气彼此啦，多一下子就来一切都好了。那 Chinese New Year 几时？
不懂，2月10号吧。
哎呀，2月10号啊。不可以啊。哈日Raya哈日Raya我可以出来嘞。
哈日Raya出来，我就在弄火锅了。
小轩是在14岁那年，因为和母亲闹翻，离家出走而染上毒瘾的。15年后，进出监狱5次的他，对于母亲的怨恨总算平复了许多。
家是一个温暖的地方嘛，可是监狱不是一个温暖的地方，就是不管我多么来，私底下恨他也好，还是怪他也好，他还是我妈妈哦。最想听他跟我说的话就是我的女儿，她改了哦。他每次都讲我改不了，就是我这个毒瘾是改不了的。1.5 minutes. Help me find how to be human.
刚才你有一直叫他们帮忙你，就是带一本书进来嘛？
对。
什么书？
因为我在杂志上看到这本书，就觉得很有趣。就是人为什么会生气？人为什么会伤心？就是多了解人的个性这些。OK， 拜拜。So right, we do this project we must find the budget, discuss the budget, and then we have to apply for the license.
因为服刑期间行为良好，与其得以报读监狱署联合公益教育学院推出的一项关于商业服务的课程，考取证书。
I feel more confident because in the past, I lack of confidence about when I fill up the form and say my education is only PSLE. Now that I managed to get this NITEC business service, there's improvement in life, finally.
在服刑的第3年，雨琦也参与了非营利机构 New Life Stories 的援助项目。为了加强受刑人和他们孩子之间的关系，正在狱中服刑的母亲被赋予一项任务，就是要亲笔撰写一则儿童故事给他们的孩子。
And then I'm like, what kind of story should I come up? Because everyone come up with very sweet story.
雨琦在服刑期间和丈夫办了离婚手续，结束了7年的婚姻。为了安抚儿子，她决定为他创作一个有关鲨鱼家庭的故事。话说有一天，鲨鱼家庭居住的地方受到污染，鲨鱼爸爸和鲨鱼妈妈各自在不同地方找到了一个新家。
Baby Shark, realizing that his parents will be living in different parts of the ocean, burst into tears. Both Daddy and Mommy Shark hugged Baby Shark and explained to him that he can now have 2 homes to play in. Daddy Shark's cave was so big that they could all play hide and seek together, while Mommy Shark's cave was so cozy he could have the best sleep there. Mommy and Daddy Shark will always love you just the same. Don't you ever forget that, my love. Actually, I'm very scared because I heard the prices, everything is increasing, whereas you came in because of money. I think I'm telling myself every day that living a down-to-earth life is what I want. It's not an option, it's something that I have to follow. Because not about me anymore. I have a son, so he cannot be growing up seeing me in this path.
，There's 2 forms. The day we see you, right? You give your form already. Now you have a handphone number now.
No, not yet. Don't have your email account. Have? 没有。
星期2早晨，秀兰被安排来到了距离 A4 寓所不远处的史拉兰公园中心。因为欺诈罪而被判坐牢超过10年的秀兰，这一天要出狱了。因为行为良好，她得以在社区里服完剩余的1年刑期。
左脚右脚，
左脚。
你鞋拖鞋上来，没有穿拖鞋上来。
哦，穿拖鞋上。
为了让受刑人更好地融入社会，在新加坡，每一年有越来越多的受刑人参与社区改造计划。这些还未服完刑期的事囚，有些可以回家居住或者出外工作，但都必须佩戴电子追踪器以及遵守宵禁规定。
I want to talk about is curfew timing. Okay, make sure you follow the curfew timing that is given to you.
虽然这是秀兰期盼已久的一天，但是当它真正到来时，却是各种情绪涌上心头。
我跟我妈妈很 close， 所以现在出去没有她，我也很 lost。我也很希望我所有被我伤害过的人能原谅我。话说得很容易咯，是人家的血汗钱，怎么会原谅？之前我的工作我也回不去了，所以现在真的是要从头开始，从零开始。这几年一定要熬过去，一定要让他们读完书。
After that, followed by the mail. Can come.
Is it number?
拆除了腕带，秀兰可以离开监狱了。
其实这一条路走来真的很坎坷。开始骗的时候，这一条是一个死路来的。到现在我了解了。Hi. Hello.